And I said, well, no, I think the point is that this is probably one of the most brilliant acts of genius operational planning I've ever seen in my life. Like this thing, I'll tell you kind of something funny. The day after the pager operation, where they essentially decapitated Hezbollah. Right now, Hezbollah doesn't exist as what it was. It's going to come back, of course. But right now, there is no Hezbollah. So the day after, I got a call from a Russian news channel, and they said, would you come on and talk about this operation? I said, sure. And they said, so this is a war crime, right? And I said, well, yeah, technically, because, you know, we know of several cases where the guy that had the pager took the pager off his belt, put it on the table, sat down with his family to have dinner. The pager blew up and killed the 9-year-old daughter, right? So technically, yeah, that's a war crime. And I said, well, no, I think the point is that this is probably one of the most brilliant acts of genius operational planning I've ever seen in my life. Right. Imagine the moving parts involved in an operation like this, where you have to control everything from manufacturing.
Right. They had to start a shell company in some other country, right?
In multiple countries, Hungary, Taiwan. Not only do you have to manage manufacturing, you have to manage the entire supply chain, intercept these things at some point, pack them full of C4, but not too much because they need to still work as pagers, and then put them back into the supply chain again. And then once they arrive in Lebanon, make sure they get to your targets.
And wasn't it like something around 10 years from the time they sold them to Hezbollah?
Yes.
From the time they actually deployed
like
the bombs?
6 generations old.
Crazy.
Yeah. But Hezbollah didn't have the money for, you know, the new stuff. So they said, well, you know, we can get thousands of these.
They created like full-on advertising campaigns, commercials, beautiful websites. They had salespeople that were showing and displaying all this stuff to these people, and they literally created a whole fake company marketing campaign that was totally believable. Changed his voice or whatever, and he was saying to this 60 Minutes interviewer, he said, "We are the directors, the writers, and the producers of the movie that you call reality."
I've never met anybody in my life who could come up with an operation like that. This was genius.
Yeah.
And then the Russians were like, well, so do you think that somebody's going to be prosecuted for this? And I said, on the contrary, somebody's going to get a promotion and a medal and a picture with the director of Mossad. This is like the greatest thing in somebody's career, whoever came up with this.
Right. And what other operations do they have cooking right now?